It's a mural that's supposed to welcome guests to a public building.
No. And I mean, I have a lot of friends that are artists. I think that that's outrageous.
It's just government waste is all it is.
In a new investigation, see a pricey piece of art paid for with your money.
The feds now investigate a former parish deputy, see why they believe he trafficked firearms across the Mexican border.
Plus, new changes when it comes to carnival throws, what riders can no longer toss.
Fox 8 News is New Orleans' most watched late news. Fox 8 Local First starts now.
Good evening, I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Kim Holden. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell says her family has been struggling with debt for years.
Yeah, the mayor sending us a statement tonight after we reported the IRS says she owes nearly $100,000 in federal income taxes. Tonight, a follow-up to the investigation we broke today about 3 tax liens filed by the IRS on Cantrell's house. In 8 of the last 9 years, the IRS says New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell and her husband didn't pay their fair share of federal income taxes. Records filed with the Orleans Clerk of Court show the IRS claims they still owe nearly $100,000.
The concern is going to be, well, if she's not being responsible with her personal taxes, will she be responsible with the city's budget, with the city's taxes?
Dillard University public policy professor Robert Collins says while voters are more tolerant of personal behavior these days, unpaid taxes is something that still resonates.
The concern with the voters is going to be, well, we have to pay our taxes. Why isn't the mayor paying her taxes? I think that's going to be the question in the minds of the voters.
Over the past 5.5 years, the IRS has filed a series of tax liens on the Cantrells' Broadmoor home.
A tax lien is if you have unpaid taxes and interest and penalties. The IRS, if you're not going to pay it, they eventually are going to file a lien on all of your assets, which means you can't sell your assets.
The IRS filed its latest tax lien this week for unpaid taxes from 2018. In December of last year and in 2018, the IRS filed additional tax liens for unpaid taxes. The Cantrells also had a 2014 lien that has been released or settled with the IRS.
Her husband is an attorney, so it's hard for me to swallow. I didn't know any better. If you disagree with these assessments, why aren't you litigating it? You're an attorney, and both of them are jointly and severally liable for this tax assessment. So you would think if they had a case, it would have been litigated, but it isn't. And so why is that?
Local CPA Patrick Lynch says the IRS could eventually foreclose on the Cantrells' home. Could they come garnish her wages?
Yes, they could.
The IRS could?
Yeah.
When they filed their taxes, the IRS claims the Cantrells didn't pay the proper amount in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, and 18. Since 2010, 2016 is the only year the IRS says the Cantrells paid the required amount at the time of filing.
I think what's going to be so disturbing for the voters is the number of years. If it was 1 year, you could say, okay, well, this is carelessness. It's an oversight. Filing taxes is very complex. We all occasionally make mistakes on our taxes. So if it was just 1 year or so, people could say, okay, well, it's just a mistake. But when you get into multiple years and when you get into, year after year, it's happening, then it appears more that, okay, this was a deliberate attempt to avoid paying these taxes.
The IRS says the Cantrells owe nearly $35,000 in income taxes from 2015, $32,000 from 2017, and almost $20,000 from 2018. Late tonight, Mayor Cantrell sent us this statement, writing, "Unfortunately, our family has been struggling with this debt for years. We are working with tax experts to resolve and pay this off as soon as possible. It's very painful for this news to be made public, but I know many of our city's residents face similar challenges while they work hard every day of keeping their homes. I still live on Louisiana Avenue Parkway like I always have, and will continue to work side by side every day with our residents for a better future for all New Orleanians. We are all in this together.
I think the way to handle it is just to be honest and transparent.
But even then, Collins will be keeping an eye on how the council reacts. The mayor and council have already disagreed on the council's investigation into the Hard Rock collapse. Collins says how Cantrell has handled her personal finances could concern some council members and prompt them to dig deeper into the city's finances.
I do think this will cause the city council to want to dig a little bit further into issues involving the executive branch, especially issues that specifically involve money, the appropriation of money and the handling of taxes.
Because you think from a council member's point of view, this might raise questions about what her management or her ability to manage money, I guess? Is
yes,
that what you're saying?
her ability to manage money. And also, I think the city council is going to feel if they don't start taking their oversight role more diligently, they may get some pushback from their voters.
Again, the IRS says the Cantrells didn't properly file taxes in 8 of the last 9 years. They did settle the taxes for the first 3 years, 2010 through 12, but still have liens and unpaid taxes for 5 years.
We are going to see some rain moving into our area, and Chief Meteorologist David Bernard has more on what we can expect.
We've got some rain that's been developing just in the last 30 minutes or so. Most of it is over North Louisiana, but a little bit is developing in Southeast Louisiana tonight. Look at this. Houma, Thibodaux, Gramercy into St. Charles Parish, and now spreading into Jefferson, Orleans. Just spotty light rain, but an indication of what's to come. A low is going to move very quickly across the Gulf tonight, and by tomorrow morning, there'll be a shield of rain along the coast. The farther north and west you are, the less rain there will be. But be on the lookout. It's going to be a little wet for your morning commute. By tomorrow afternoon, look at this. We start to dry out. We'll talk about another rain chance and a bigger cold front next week in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, David. A former Lafourche Parish Sheriff's deputy is under federal investigation accused of trafficking firearms across the Mexican border.
The ATF executed a search warrant on the deputy's home, finding many more firearms and ammunition. Amanda Roberts reports.
According to a federal search warrant, ATF agents seized a laundry list of firearms, ammunition, technology, and other items from a former Lafourche Parish Sheriff's deputy, Jesus Frias Lemus's home. ATF agents believe he and his girlfriend, Ana Huerta Valdez, were trafficking firearms across the Mexican border. The warrant says Mexican law enforcement arrested Frias Lemus last October for concealing 2 firearms, firearm parts, and ammunition in their car. It continues to say it is common for firearm traffickers to disassemble firearms to easily conceal while trafficking.
When he contacted his commanding officer when he was first taken into custody in Mexico, he informed him that he had left his duty weapon in the car.
While sorting out his legal troubles in Mexico, Lafourche Parish Sheriff Craig Weber said they received a call from Frias Lemus that Mexican authorities found no probable cause to hold him and he was released. But when he came back home, ATF notified them they intended to investigate further.
They had information and photographs that they apparently had received from the Mexican authorities, which suggested and supported that Mr. Primus's firearms were not his duty weapon and that there had been a potential attempt to conceal them.
Sheriff Weber says he understands that Frias Lemus and his family were from Mexico and would travel back and forth from the country on weekends and his days off regularly. And he even says that his superiors described him as being a hardworking deputy.
When he came back and he was interviewed by the Internal Affairs, his responses were appropriate. I mean, if you have family in another country, it's not unreasonable to think that around the holidays you'd make a trip and go visit your family, and then come back to work.
ATF investigators say 3 days prior to his arrest, Frias Lemus tried to buy 6 guns from a Thibodeau sports store. An employee told him they legally could not make that sale, so he went online and legally purchased 2 of the same guns. ATF says the firearm parts recovered in Mexico match the guns purchased online. But in December, when ATF contacted the sheriff's office wanting to search his home, Frias Lemus refused and tendered his resignation December 19th. In Lafourche Parish, Amanda Roberts, Fox 8, Local First.
Weber says Frias Lemus was with the department for 2 years and to his knowledge has not been arrested. Weber also says it's hard for them to know if the former deputy intended to traffic firearms, but says it's unlikely the weapons that Mexican police seized were duty weapons.
Kenner police believe road rage might have contributed to a crash that killed a pregnant New Orleans woman. This happened this afternoon in the 2400 block of West Esplanade. Catherine Mazzone is there live with more.
I'm not far from one of the crash sites on West Esplanade, across from Lake Trail. Police say 2 of the drivers, both of the ones involved, were crashed into utility poles. It's just seconds apart. One of those drivers was killed, the other still in the hospital. Kenner police say this all happened just before 12:30 this afternoon here on West Esplanade near Power. They say that 45-year-old woman in the SUV and a 22-year-old, Jade Lewis of New Orleans, were both heading eastbound on West Esplanade when police say witnesses report seeing the SUV coming close to the car while trying to get over. They say the car accelerated in response until the 2 were speeding down the roadway.
And at some point, the SUV swerved over in the other lane and clipped the front of the vehicle, which caused that vehicle to turn sideways and strike the first power pole, which was the vehicle that Jade Lewis was in. And the second vehicle continued on the SUV and hit the next power pole at the next corner.
Police say Lewis, in the late stages of pregnancy, was killed on scene. They say no one else was in the SUV driven by that 45-year-old woman. Police say though this investigation is ongoing, criminal charges could be filed. Live in Kenner, I'm Catherine Mazzone, Fox 8 Local First.
All right, Catherine. NOPD Chief Sean Ferguson will address the string of vehicle burglaries throughout the city tomorrow. Thieves broke into more than a dozen vehicles at 2 school campuses. According to police, they hit 4 vehicles in the parking lot of the UNO Engineering Building yesterday morning, then 9 vehicles in Brother Martin's parking lot as school let out.
It's not even just like here on campus. I feel we have another campus that's connected to us, but it's far, like at least like a mile away. It's the arena, and theirs are getting broken into now.
A UNO spokesperson confirmed this is the 3rd report of vehicle burglaries in the past semester.
The city of New Orleans plans to bring back ankle monitoring for juvenile offenders. It's a tool used to make sure they're following a judge's orders if they're released from detention. The city says staff at the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center will provide monitoring, and if a juvenile violates a judge's order, the NOPD will bring them to the facility.
Once it is deemed that the youth is in violation of wherever he is or she is supposed to be, then NOPD will be involved as to once they are notified that the youth is in violation, then they would activate their team to pick up the youth and then transport the youth.
The city says it's working with the State Office of Juvenile Justice to fund the program. It's unclear exactly when that program will begin. The city of New Orleans agrees to fully fund the Clerk of Criminal District Court's office after Arthur Morrell threatened to lay off employees. Morrell said his office couldn't function unless the city fully funded its $4.6 million budget. With today's agreement, both parties will also dismiss the lawsuits against each other.
The New Orleans Inspector General says no one has been paying close enough attention to the city's traffic camera program. According to a new report, when people accidentally overpaid their tickets, the city kept the money. Nearly $750,000 is owed to drivers. Inspector General Derry Harper says the city also didn't communicate with the public when it lowered the speed thresholds for issuing tickets in school zones.
Notification to the public, that is communication to the public that now if you're going 4 miles over to the zone, you're going to be ticketed, or if you're going 7 miles per hour over the zone, is absolutely essential so that people can adjust their behavior.
The report claims the NOPD failed to properly administer the traffic camera program, which is required by city ordinance. The NOPD says it will address the findings.
The Mississippi River keeps rising. This afternoon, the Carrollton gauge read just under 16 feet. The National Weather Service forecasts the river will top 16 feet tomorrow, start falling next week, but remain high for this time of year. The Army Corps of Engineers says the forecast does not indicate a need to run the Bonnie Carey spillway. However, in past years, a river this high, this early, has often resulted in the spillway opening in the spring.
Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser says the plans to develop a controversial hotel conference center at Fontainebleau State Park in Mandeville are off the table. Environmentalists welcome that news, but they say feasibility study was conducted and a state website still mentions the possibility. Nungesser says state parks have tens of millions of dollars worth of needs that need to be addressed.
Carnival crews in New Orleans will no longer be able to throw boxes and single-use plastic bags off floats. Council members passed changes today to the city's carnival rules. If crew members are caught violating the new rule, they can be pulled off the float. Also, anyone wanting to build a stand or structure along a parade route must now get a permit at least 15 days before the first parade on that route. Another big jump in coronavirus cases in China as the U.S. now advises against all travel to the country.
The World Health Organization says there was a record number of deaths in 24 hours, bringing the death toll to 213. Meantime, Chicago confirmed its second case, America's first human-to-human transmission of the virus. The Department of State has requested that all non-essential U.S. government personnel defer travel to China.
The Tigers' incredible football season had quite the unique soundtrack as well. Their impact on social media is worthy of going down in history alongside the team.
There's a lot more that goes into it than probably what people think. You know, it's not just like, you know, putting, just clips together, just getting a narrator.
A lot of times Derek would text me on Sunday and say, hey, here's what Coach O's talking about this week. Here's the message he's given to the team. Let's try to connect the script to that.
Where we come from, nothing is given. Everything is earned. You finish what you start.
The Tigers left their mark on the field and online thanks to their hype videos that went viral week after week. Friday on Fox 8 News at 10 p.m., Chris Hagan goes behind the scenes with the LSU creative team that made the magic happen.
The Port of New Orleans purchased a piece of artwork that costs more than many port employees make in a year. But the port says it did nothing wrong, as you'll see in our latest investigation. Hello.
A walk into a building.
Hey, we're here to see the mural on the 4th floor.
To see a pricey piece of art paid for with your money.
Been waiting here a few minutes now.
It took about 11 minutes to find someone to escort us up to see a mural tucked deep into a public building that this public agency says is meant to welcome visitors.
But when you see that kind of abuse, I mean, that's ridiculous.
This month, the Port of New Orleans installed this painting commissioned by the owners of this Royal Street home back in 1993.
What would you pay for that?
Probably thousands.
I mean, this looked like it could be up in like couple thousand range.
Try $31,500.
That's some bull. I mean, excuse my language.
No, and I mean, I have a lot of friends that are artists. I think that that's outrageous.
It's just government waste is all it is.
But there's more. That's because the port spent an additional $18,500 to transport and install it. The total cost to taxpayers, $50,000.
That's our money, huh? Going to good projects like that. Huh?
So it's like $50,000 for that.
That's good. They must have excess, huh? I'm laughing when I say that.
The mural is on the 4th floor of the port building, in the hallway between the executive office suite and the coffee room, across the hall from the boardroom.
Have you ever been up to the 4th floor of the port?
I hadn't been in there, period.
You think a lot of
in
citizens
70 years, I hadn't set foot in there, and I guarantee you 90+% of the state population hasn't either.
One reason why, you can't just walk up there. You need an escort to go.
And that's our money, the citizens of Louisiana's money.
The port says its mission is to drive regional economic prosperity by maximizing the flow of international trade and commerce as a modern gateway.
I don't understand how that mural helps them accomplish that goal.
Port records show an operating loss each of the last 3 fiscal years, $5 million in 2019, $6 million in 2018, and a $9 million operating loss in 2017.
So why do you go spend $50,000 for cosmetics? I don't consider that prudent. I don't believe any private entity would spend that kind of money for artwork if it doesn't directly help them achieve their profit goals.
A Port of New Orleans spokesperson initially said they wouldn't be available for an interview. That's when we showed up to the building to see the mural. After that, a Port employee called us and scheduled an interview for this morning. But 90 minutes before the interview, he called to cancel. Instead, the Port sent us a statement writing the Port acquired the mural Port of New Orleans using funds from our budget for its artistic depiction of New Orleans' bustling maritime riverfront in the mid-19th century. All procurement rules were followed and the purchase price was below appraised value. French artist Pierre-Marie Rudel painted the mural for the owners of the home on Royal Street. The owners got it appraised for $35,000, but sold it to the Port for a slight discount.
$50,000 to decorate a wall.
You're getting back in your car and you're still talking about
Yeah, well, sure. When you see that kind of abuse, I mean, that's ridiculous.
To the New Orleanians we talked to, it's all a big waste of public money.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money. $50,000 could probably be better spent on something that's not so cosmetic.
A cosmetic addition that didn't go out for public bid, that the Port says never received board approval and was well within the CEO's spending authority.
These people have a fiduciary responsibility to manage that money and spend it wisely. If you can show me that that painting helps them generate economic prosperity in the Tri-Parish area, good, I'm open to it. I can't see how that does.
The Port bought the mural a year ago, but didn't move it into place until this month.
Well, the Pelicans will have a player in this year's NBA All-Star Game. Juan Kincaid will have details coming up in sports.
And we already have rain breaking out across the South Shore. Could be a wet commute. Your Weather Authority forecast right after this.
Now, your Weather Authority forecast from David Bernard.
It is turning wet out there. Here's the big picture on Viper. We have light rain breaking out in our area, light to moderate rain in North Louisiana. That's where most of the rain is falling tonight. Now, north of the lake, not too much action. Starting to get some sprinkles across areas of Interstate 12 running between Hammond and Ponchatoula. But the greatest batch of light to moderate rain is over Bayou Country and back into the metro area. In fact, here's a look at Jefferson Parish. Light rain and showers moving through now, and even a few sprinkles across Orleans and portions of St. Bernard. So wet tonight and wet for the beginning of tomorrow morning, 60% chance, and then we dry out. With the clouds and the rain, we probably stay in the 50s all day. There could be some clearing late in the day, and maybe somebody will pop to 60, but it's going to be about like what we saw this afternoon. How much rain falls between tonight and tomorrow morning? Most of it is south of the lake and on the Gulf Coast, north and west. Don't expect much rain, and even this that falls looks like it's going to be well under 1 inch. So here's our low pressure developing tonight in the Gulf. That moves northeast. So here's tomorrow morning. Notice most of the rain is offshore. So a lot of us are probably going to get by with little, if any, rain. And by tomorrow afternoon, we start to dry out. Saturday looks pretty good. Now, there's going to be some clouds blowing by. Uh-oh, is that a sprinkle? I'm leaving rain out for now, but it'll be breezy and cool with a mix of sun and clouds, and then we're full-blown winter sun on Sunday after a cold start in the morning. 60% chance tomorrow morning and a 60% chance next Wednesday. That's our next strongest front coming in on Wednesday, and before Wednesday, we're going to have quite a warm-up. Now, this weekend, there could be 30s on the North Shore, maybe even Saturday morning, but more likely on Sunday morning, and then look at the warm-up, 74 as we go into Tuesday. There's your Delta World Tire weather phone, 500-2888. Sports is up next.
Fox 8 Sports is sponsored by Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Brandon Ingram is a first-time All-Star. He's been named as a reserve for the West team, and it's much deserved. He's averaging a career-best 25 points per game this season, and he's gotten some help the last 4 games from #1 pick Zion Williamson. Pels just played the Grizz 10 days ago, but Zion's first game wasn't until 2 days after that against the Spurs. He said he's looking forward to going against the guy he grew up with in South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. You know, we came a long way. I'm happy for him, but when we're on the court, I'm not thinking about that. I'm really just trying to get the win.
And tomorrow night's game tips off at 7 o'clock. The Pels will be in Houston on Sunday, hosting Milwaukee on Tuesday, visiting Chicago a week from tonight, and February 8th has them in Indiana to face the Pacers. Now to the Saints, who are waiting on Drew Brees to make a decision, and they hold all the cards on restricted free agent Taysom Hill. Unrestricted free agent Teddy Bridgewater, though, big unknown. A big payday is coming his way because he showed that he can win games this season. He won all 5 he started this season, and it helped that he was playing in the right system.
Same system, same terminology, same everything, but there were certain comfort level plays that he enjoyed probably more than Drew and vice versa. And so our jobs really is to give them the stuff that we feel like they do best. It was awesome coaching him. I mean,
I'm sure.
When I say that now, there's something about his leadership skill set, and the players responded.
And don't forget, right after this newscast, a special Super Bowl edition of Game Plan at 10:35, and the big game, of course, this Sunday, Super Bowl 54, right here on Fox 8 at 5:30. What you got, Lee?
In the game?
In the game.
KC.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think so.
I think San Francisco.
You think San Francisco?
I don't want
They're
the
good.
49ers.
Well, I don't want them to win, but I'm just
Who do you
saying
think is
that's who
going to win,
I think's
David?
gonna win.
Thanks, David.
All right.
Kansas City.
All right.
I'm with
we'll
you,
revisit
Ken.
this
San
on
Fran.
Monday.
I'm with you.
Boy, that took a while.
That's the news. Thanks for watching.
Fox 8 Game Plan is next. Our next newscast, Mr. Bernard, can you answer this quickly? Come on.
4:30 in the morning.
Man, that's good.
With the Fox 8 mobile app, you'll never be without Fox 8 News. Sign up at fox8live.com for text and email alerts during breaking news and weather. Sponsored by the Fox 8 Storm Tracker, powered by Nissan.